Today I'm going to show you how to wire up a new zone on your Vista 20P alarm control panel. That zone that I'm going to be wiring up is going to be for my exterior overhead garage door. If you watched my first video tutorial I did on the alarm system about programming a trigger on your alarm panel to open and close the door, you'll know that I mentioned in that I was going to be adding a reed switch to the garage door to sense when the door is open and closed. So like I said, today I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to install this, I'm going to wire it, and I'm going to program the system and show you how it's done. Here is the information on the sensor that I purchased for this project. This is an Ademco overhead door contact, model number ODC-59A. There's two components to this, as you can see here. This piece is going to get mounted onto the garage door near the bottom, and this piece gets mounted to the concrete floor. So we're going to have to drill holes into the concrete and mount this guy down. And this piece, as you can see, has a, if we can put it down here, a 24-inch armored cable whip with two conductors. These are obviously the wires that we're going to run back to the control panel. And we are also going to install on this a 2K end-of-line resistor for supervision on the zone. So without any further ado, let's get this installation started. Okay, so we're out here in the garage now. This is where I'm going to be installing the sensor. This is the garage door, obviously. This is the plate or the switch that's going to be mounted to the floor. Here's the armored flex cable. This is going to basically run up to the wall here. I'm going to install a junction box. Alright, so this is going to run into this connector on the bottom here. We'll do our wiring in there. Put the resistor in there as well. We're going to put a plate on it to cover it up. Off this box we're going to run a piece of cable here. That's just going to run over to another box on the wall here where I'm going to do the connection that is going to feed the wire down to the alarm panel. So really first what we got to do is we got to drill this onto the floor, and we also got to mount this onto the garage door. Here we go, looks perfect. Alright, so let's get to wiring this now. Okay guys, as you can see I went ahead and installed the box over here rather than over here. I think that the cable just flexes up to this location a lot better than I would have had over here, having to go around the the sensor here for the garage door and whatnot. So yeah, I think this works nice here. Now I can run the wires in and cinch that Romex connector down. That'll hold that in there nice and tight. And we'll run our field wiring into the other side that goes back to the control panel. Okay, so here's our two boxes. Here's the new box we mounted again, and here's my existing box. If you watched my video on installing the wiring and the programming for the garage door opener, you remember that I ran this cable again for the door opener motor to control it over the alarm system keypads. This is 4 conductor 2-pair wires, so there's an extra pair of cables in here, or wires I should say, that we're going to use to connect these back to the control panel. So this is feeding out of the wall and again going up to the garage door. So we're going to splice into this to open up the conductors, and we're going to install a small piece of wire in between these two boxes. Real quickly, I just want to touch on junction boxes here. If this was a UL certified alarm installation, mainly for a bank or a jewelry store or any other high-end type of store that you're protecting valuables, what they suggest you do is install tamper switches in all your junction boxes for your alarm. Reason being is if someone happens to get in here somehow and bypasses motion detectors, glass break detectors, door magnets, window magnets, all that good stuff, and happens to actually get to this point here, they can manipulate the system by opening up these boxes and jumping out the wires because the resistors are in here at this point. What the tamper switch will do is when they go to remove the actual cover off the box, the switch will activate the alarm before they have a chance to ever do anything to the cable. Okay, so I completed the wiring here between the two boxes. I'm going to show you now what I did. Other than neatening this up a little bit with some cable ties and whatnot, everything is complete out here. So here's that box that goes down to the basement, okay? I have 4 wires here. Now again, from my first video, 2 of these wires go up to the garage door opener, the red and the black. So what I did is I cut that loop of cable that was here, and I just spliced those 2 ends back together from the cut. And here is the other side. This is the wire coming from this box, and this other cable here is going down to the control panel. What I did there is I just again connected the whites and the greens together with these wire crimps or dolphin connectors or good and plenties, whatever you want to call them. And that completes everything in this box here, so everything is tied together. In this box here, again, we have the armored cable from the garage door sensor that we just installed. And what we did here is we just connected the red wire to the green wire. Or, I don't know, the lighting's pretty bad in here. There might be another green wire off the sensor, but anyway, we connected those 2 wires together. The white wire from the going down to the control panel and the black, I installed our end-of-line 2K resistor on there between these 2 crimps. And again, that is for zone supervision, and that connects to the low side or the common screw inside the control panel box. Okay. And again, that pretty much wraps up the installation of the sensor. We'll go down to the control panel now, and we'll wire in the cable, which is this one right here. We'll connect the other end of this so the system can see it. So we're down here now at the control panel. We're going to go ahead and splice in our new wires for the sensor that we just installed. Very briefly, this is the wire coming from the garage. What I did here was this is my sub cabinet for my wiring. This is my main control panel cabinet. So we got a piece of wire here. This one is just running down to this cabinet, and I spliced in the 2 wires coming from the garage. And basically it's just an extension of the original cables to get into the other cabinet. All you have to be concerned about is you have 2 wires coming from your sensor that you're going to wire into your panel. On my system, my next free zone is going to be pins 16 and 17. So these 2 screws right here and here. I'm working backwards, filling my zones up only because most of my system is wireless. So obviously zones 9 through however many zones I have are the wireless zones, and zones 1 through 8 are the hardwired zones. So I only have 2 existing hardwired zones. I have the Windows contacts down here in the basement, and I have a motion detector down here in the basement as well. The rest of the system is wireless. So again, this would be zone 8, this is zone 7, and my next free zone is zone 6. Okay, so just to clarify, I'm going to show you the schematic of the panel on the door right now. 8 through 20 are your zone wiring contacts. This is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, zone 6, zone 7, and zone 8. If you notice, zones 1 and 2 have their own 2 screws per zone. Zones 3 through 8 share the commons. Okay, so as you can see here, Zone 3 and Zone 4 share 13, Zone 5 and Zone 6 share 16, and Zone 7 and Zone 8 share 19. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind when you're wiring up your zones. Again, we're going to be doing or installing Zone 6, so we're going to pins 17 and 16. Okay, so wiring is complete now. We have our 2 wires, the green and the white, terminated on the control panel screws. White is connected to pin 16 and green is connected to pin 17, correlating to Zone 6 on my system. Another side note here, again, no end-of-line resistor in the panel because we installed it in the proper location at the end of the zone wiring. If you notice here, there is a resistor for my existing Zone 8 inside the panel. This system was originally installed by ADT, and for some strange reason, and it's not only ADT, I see a lot of professional alarm installers do it, they installed the end-of-line resistor in the panel here, which completely defeats the purpose of having it. This is to supervise the wiring. If you have it here in the panel, you could do anything you want on the other end of this where this window contact is. This is something I got to change. I got to move this to the last window on this zone, but this is the improper way of doing this. I don't even know why you'd install this in here, because even if you didn't want zone supervision, one of the programming parameters in the zone programming is that you can just program these as normally open or normally closed zones without an end-of-line resistor. So even if you didn't want to supervise the zone again, you could have programmed it that way. So we'll get a little more into that in detail next. I'm going to show you how to program this zone on the system so the system sees it. So let's take a quick look at the programming manual to see what fields we're going to be programming to activate this new zone on the system. To begin the programming on this zone, I think it's important to first illustrate that this zone operates differently than many of the other zones on your system. Reason being is that the entry delay for this zone is going to have to be a little longer than any of the other doors on your system. Now you might ask yourself why. Well, think about when you activate or open the garage door. More than likely you're in your car. You start hitting that button when you're a few houses away so the door can be opened by the time you pull the car into the driveway. You then pull your car in there. You have to get out of the car. Maybe you have to open up the back and get groceries out. Maybe you run out to your mailbox to get mail. Once you add all this time up, you might be up over a minute already. Now, if you have the entry delay set on your system for less than a minute, this is obviously going to trigger an alarm, sound the siren, and call Central Station. Obviously, things you don't want to happen if it's you getting into your own home. So, what we have to do in this case is a extra step in the programming, and that would be the entry delay settings. You can see here we have an entry delay 1 and an entry delay 2. All of your entry doors for your house are more than likely going to be programmed on entry delay 1, which in all cases you like to keep as minimal as possible. We're going to go ahead and program an entry delay 2 for the garage door. And what I'm going to enter in here is I'm going to set this to delay for 2 minutes when this door first opens. So as you can see, for entry delay 2, it's referencing you up to star 35. So basically what you're going to be doing is using the entries in star 35 for star 36. And as you can see here, there's a bunch of different selections from 0 to 96 seconds. And then the system also has presets at 120 seconds, 180 seconds, and 240 seconds. So as I said, I'm going to set this to for a 2-minute delay, which is 120 seconds. So we're going to go into star 36 and enter in 97, which will tell the system that any zones referenced to entry delay 2 are set for 2 minutes. So the programming sequence for that would be your installer code 4112. If you have the default code still on your system, you're going to enter 800 to enter into installer mode, or programming mode rather. Enter star 36, and it's going to prompt you to enter a number. Again, I'm going to enter 97 because I want 2 minutes of entry delay time. The next step in our programming is going to be the setup and configuration of a custom zone type, which is zone type 90 in star 182 programming menu mode. I am not going to get into detail about doing this in this video simply because the video will be too long. You're going to see an annotation pop up right now. You can click this, it'll bring you to another video that I have posted that'll give you a step-by-step tutorial on how to program a custom zone type 90 in your system. Programming a custom zone type isn't entirely necessary. If you don't wish to go through the steps and do it, you can simply use one of the pre-programmed zone types already on the system. That is in star 5-6 menu mode, which we're going to get into next. You would just simply enter in 02 as your zone type, which will map that to that previous step that we just did, which is the programming of the entry-exit delay number 2. However, you are going to hear me reference zone type 90 in the next segment. That is the configurable zone type. Again, if you want to learn more about that, just click the annotation. That'll bring you to a link to another video where I'll show you step by step how to program this type of zone. Again, it is not necessary. If you don't wish to do that, simply add or enter 02 in the places where I tell you to enter 90. Our next step in programming is going to be zone programming in the star 5-6 menu mode. So again, installer code 4112800 star 56, and you are in zone programming. First question it's going to ask you, set to confirm. It's basically asking you if this is a wireless zone or a wired zone. It is a wired zone, so you're going to enter in 0 and hit star. Next question is asking you for the zone number. Again, we are programming zone 6, which is where I connected our new zone to on the screw terminals on the control panel. Enter 06 and hit star. You're going to get a summary screen. Nothing is to be done here. Hit star. Next question it is going to ask you is the zone type. Zone type is, again, what I just mentioned. I am going to enter in a 90 because I set up a custom zone type. You do not need to do that. You can make your selection from here. My suggestion, if you're not going with 90, you would enter in 02, which will map it to that entry-exit delay number 2 that we had just programmed previously. So you'd make your selection there and hit star. It's going to ask you for partition number. We are in partition 1 in most cases, so enter a 1 and hit star. Report code is simply asking you if it is going to report to central station or not. If your system is not monitored, you'd enter 00 here and hit star. If your system is monitored, you can enter in a 10 and hit star. Hardwire type is asking you how the zone is wired. We wired ours with a end-of-line resistor, which you can see is number 0. You're going to enter in a 0 and hit star. Response time is basically how long it takes the system to show an alarm condition when the zone shows an open or a short. 1 is the pre-programmed response time, which is 350 milliseconds, which is more than enough, so you're just going to hit star. This next section is strictly for wireless, which we do not have. We wired, so you're not going to see this pop up. You're not going to see any of these entries pop up on this next page here, all the way down to the point where it gets to the summary screen. This is going to be the next section you're going to see, which is basically going to give you a summary of everything you just programmed. You're going to hit star at that point, which is going to exit you out of this zone for programming. It's going to ask you one more thing. It's going to ask you if you want to program an alpha descriptor. You do not at this time. We'll get into that later. Hit 0 and hit star. And at that point, it's going to ask you if you want to go on to the next zone to program. You don't. You can enter 00, which is going to exit you out of this mode, and hit star to continue. Hit star 99, and that'll get you out of programming. Okay, so let's put to practice all that information we just went over in the manual. Let's go into programming mode on our keypad. 4112 is the default installer code. 800 will get you into programming mode. The screen will say installer code 20, confirming that you are in fact in programming. And our first field we're going to go into is the programming of entry delay 2, which is in star 136. The screen is going to say entry 2 delay, confirming that you are in that field, and then a 1 and a 2, meaning that you are programming it for partitions 1 and 2. The system is just looking for you now to input the number from that field, and I told you I wanted a 2-minute delay on this, which is 120 seconds. The entry for that is 9-7. So we're going to do 9-7. That's for partition 1, and then 9-7 again. And that's for partition 2, and you heard the keypad give back that response. That's indicating that the system took the information I gave it. It's going to immediately bring you to the next field, which we do not want to program, so we're going to hit star. It's going to bring us back to our home screen. We're going to go 9-9. That will exit us out of programming mode. Okay, so let's move on to the next programming step. If you were to configure a custom zone that I've been mentioning, you would now enter into star 182 and set up that custom zone. I am not going to get into this again in this video. I will post that link as an annotation again if you want to learn more about that. So we're going to skip ahead right now to the next programming field, which will be the zone programming. So enter back into programming mode. 4112 800. It's going to confirm that we are in programming mode. We're going to go into star 56, zone programming. First question, set to confirm, asking you if the zone is wired or wireless. It is wired, so we're going to hit 0 for no. Enter zone number. We are programming zone 6 today because that's where we connected our new field wiring to in the control panel. So 06, hit star. This is your summary screen. Nothing is to be done here. Hit star again. It's asking us zone 6 is what type of zone. We are programming this as a custom zone 90. We're going to enter 90. It's going to say configure zone type 90. Okay, at this point, if you weren't doing a custom zone type, you can enter in 02 here, which will map this to entry delay 2, which we had just previously programmed. So again, we have 90, we're going to hit star. Partition number, we are in partition 1. 1, hit star. Report code, this is if your system is monitored or not. We're simply just going to put 00 here today. I do not have the monitoring set up on my system yet. So 00 and hit star. Hardwire type, we have a end of line resistor on our system, so EOL, which is correct, we can hit star. Response time 1, correct, hit star. It's going to give us a summary of what we just programmed. We're going to hit star to get past that. Program alpha, that is the custom zone descriptor. We're not going to do that now, so 0, no. And it's going to ask us if we want to program the next zone. We do not. We're going to hit 00. It's going to bring us back to our home screen. We're going to go star 99 to exit. And that completes the zone programming. The next step I'm going to be doing now is programming the custom zone definition that will show up on the keypad screen. Just again to review, I did not go over this with you in the manual. You can go and search for other videos that are available on how to do this. So I'm simply just going to go through the steps on the keypad to program that in. 4112-800, installer code 20. Custom alpha descriptors is star 82. Program alpha, 1 for yes. Custom words, this is not a custom word, hit 0. Zone 1 is what's popping up now. We're going to hit star. We are going to zone 6, 06. At this point you hit star. 06, and it's going to move over to the first section here, which is looking for a text input. We're going to program in garage door for this. So garage on my manual is 089. So to enter 089, we're going to do pound 089. It's going to show garage. We're going to save the word and go to the next. You hit 6 for that. It'll bring us down to our next character entry. We now want to add door. Door in the manual is 057, so pound 057. Door will pop up. We're now going to press 8, which will save it. We're going to hit pound to exit. Program alpha, no, we do not want to program anymore. Hit star. Then star 99 will exit us out of programming. And that's it. That completes programming for this zone. Okay, so let's test the functionality of the zone now. From my first video, I programmed key D here to open and close the door. So let's see what happens when we press this now.
Garage door.
And as you can see, it recognized that zone opened. I hear the door going up. We don't have our ready light lit anymore because the door is opening. We can hit star for faults. It's going to tell us that the garage door is faulted because it's open. So let's go ahead and close the door now and see if the system returns to normal. And there you have it. Disarm chime, ready to arm. Ready lights lit, door just finished closing. Success, we have completed programming of the zone and the installation. Hope you guys found this video informative. If you have any questions or comments, post them below. I'll try to answer them as best I can, and thank you for watching.